All right, my friends, the final episode. We're here. We finally made it to the end. This is the Reisinger build. We've been building this in partnership with our friends at Builders FirstSource. The last episode. Look at that. Doesn't the house look amazing? I'm really proud of how this turned out. My team did a great job. If you haven't watched the entire series, we built this house start to finish. We actually demoed an old house. How many months has it been now? 14 months ago. We're a little late, to be honest. We're about a month late on our schedule. We have an extra month in there because we had to hold off for Build Show Live. This house was the show house for that. But on this episode, I'm gonna run through all the places. We're gonna show you the outside, the inside, the attics, really give you a full final tour so you know what happened on this house. I'm also gonna reveal a couple things that we did really well, and also a couple things I might do different. You know, this house is available on the home plan library through Builders FirstSource, and I think one thing that's really cool to see here at the end, now that it's all finished and the grass is in place, look how close this house looks to the initial BFS renderings. You know, they did a full rendering on the outside and the inside, and I gotta tell you, this looks like the renderings came to life. Amazing how close it is. Now in this episode though, we are about legitimately 3 or 4 days away from being done. I made a full punch list in here the other day. The best time to do a punch list is either at night or first thing in the morning when you're not getting bothered. I had my notepad, I had my 2 types of Post-it notes, my super sticky and my extreme notes. I had my Sharpie and I walked the entire house and made notes for the painters, made notes for Luke, my project manager, and really got in there. But funny enough, wouldn't you know it, Mike, my city inspector, found 4 or 5 things this morning on my final inspection that I missed, frankly. I got a quick plug for Mike, or my inspection department in general. We got a great set of inspectors here in the city of Austin, and he noticed several things that I missed that I really appreciated him catching me on, I'm using that in air quotes. I think of him as a partner in my building company that really helps me deliver a quality product to my clients. And so I'll show you a couple of those today as we walk through the house. With that being said, the final episode of the Reisinger build in partnership with our friends at Builders FirstSource. Let's get going.
A Build Original series in partnership with Builders FirstSource. The Reisinger build.
Hey, we got some shoes in the house. I think my Voltec guys are here. I think I might have the painter here. Gio's supposed to come today, so he might be in the house. But look at this, guys. I mean, this house looks fantastic. I absolutely love how it turned out. As a quick side note, it's got a few surprises that I don't know if I saw or showed you guys at least on the last episode. And it's nice to finally see a clean house and see this kind of stuff on the cabinetry. Look at this. This is where you store your pans. For your baking over here. These crystal cabinets, really, really nice through my friends at Benchmark. I've got my punch list over here, and one kind of fun thing that I wanted to mention is we did a repeater system for our wireless, and check out this speed test. I'm gonna redo it for you live so you can see it. Boom, over 400 down on Wi-Fi. I'm not even plugged in. And give it a second, let's see what the upload speed is here. A little over 200 on upload. And again, that's on Wi-Fi, so that's pretty dang good. All right, so on punch list, I think I mentioned this earlier, I put a bunch of Post-it notes around the house. Some for Luke, my project manager, some for the painters. When I'm going inside, I like to use the super sticky Post-it notes. On the outside, the extremes will stick to brick and stucco, so those are really nice. But on a side note, here's something I always like to do. I really like to run a load, or maybe even 2, through all the appliances. And I'm sure glad I did this, because check this out. I'm not gonna call the manufacturer out. We won't tell you who this brand is, but I'm really disappointed. This thing leaked literally the very first time we turned it on. This is about as frustrating as it gets. Brand new dishwasher from an expensive company. However, Josh, my hero from Wilson Appliance, which is awesome. Josh, show us the water in the pan right there. Look at that. I put a pan in that I might need in a decade or 2, and we needed it on freaking day 1. Thank God I put that pan on, and look how I taped the walls. Let's see if you can see that. So if it ever spurted, it would spurt into the pan. And sure enough, the pan saved us. Josh, thanks for helping us get this thing fixed, figure out what the problem is. Appreciate it, dude. And I've got a call in for some service. But look at this. I think I showed this to you in the very last episode. That pan right there saved our bacon. In fact, I think you can still see a little bit of water in it. This is that pan that I put underneath the dishwasher. Has a drain to the outside that I thought, oh, maybe I'll need this in 30 years. I didn't expect that I would need it on literally day -1. That was really a bummer to me. But I wanted to reveal it to you because I think it's important and shows that power of that drain and why that's so important. A couple other notes that we've done on the house. Most everything we've seen here is cosmetic, frankly. I made a bunch of things like, hey, caulk this joint right here. We use some Moreflex. Caulk this, do this paint touch up, do all that kind of stuff. As a quick side note, I'm a big fan of these guys, Sashco. They make big stretch. They make Moreflex like we use there or used outside. They make a sealant that you can custom color if you need to. But I was able to pretty much use all their standard colors for everything I needed in the house straight out of the bat. So that's really awesome. I think that my guys from Voltec are here doing the final install. Let's go see if we can find Lee. Hey Lee, are you in here?
Hey Matt, I'm over here in the master bedroom.
All right, Lee, let's go check out what you're working on, brother. Good to see you again, man.
Hey, how are you?
What is this little yellow device? What's going on here?
You know, we outfitted your house with LED jacks. So if you look at them, they're clear.
Yeah.
Instead of traditionally you'd see like white or blue for data, but everything now is data, phone, it's all the same.
Yeah.
So we used a white jack. It's got an LED in it on each end. This is the tracer or the toner. It's battery powered. Give that a plug, push the button.
Oh, check it out, and then it flashes.
And it flashes at the other end. So now you need to configure something on your network. You want to find the other end.
Right, so this might get used for internet, but another one might get used for something else, let's say.
Correct.
So now you know which is which, and we can label it up in the attic where the terminations are.
Yep.
Good
You can
deal.
just turn it on, leave it on. If you're by yourself, you can blink it for your buddy.
Got it, that's pretty sweet. Now as a side note, Lee's not normally my low voltage guy. He's not anyone's low voltage guy. He's actually the inventor, but I get him to do some work on my personal house and of course the video series. But let me show you what Lee's invention is. We talked about this earlier. This is Voltec. It's a DC wiring system. You can go check out our episode, but notice there's no brick on the wall here, and I'm charging my laptop right now. So what Lee's device does is it takes a really cheap low voltage wire. What's the gauge again? I can't remember.
18 gauge.
So 18 gauge wire to here, and then he's got a termination jack that has a USB A and C. And what's the power output on this thing?
65 watts.
So I can charge my phone, I can charge my laptop, I can do whatever without having to have the brick.
Charge your cameras.
Yeah, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
I love it. Now let's go up to the attic, Lee, show these guys the termination, and then we'll give an attic tour too. So we'll meet you guys up in the attic.
Cool.
So Lee, all your equipment is up above us here in the living room attic, but as you shimmy your way up there, I want to admit to a mistake I made. I used this beautiful Facro ladder, which is an awesome ladder, but you know what? I didn't size it correctly because you and I can get up there, although we need a little acrobatics, don't we?
A year ago, I couldn't have got up there.
You're looking good, brother. But if I have to change equipment out, I would not make it up there with the equipment. And during the framing stage, I actually knocked out the framing so I can make this access bigger. We're gonna turn this piece of drywall right here into a removable 3/4 panel so it can get bigger, because if I ever when I need to replace my dehumidifier or my ERV that's up in the attic, it wouldn't make it through that hole. So that's something that I messed up on ordering this ladder size at the beginning. So we're fixing that for final inspections. Okay, now we'll meet these guys upstairs. Okie dokie. So the ladder lets a man in here, but it doesn't let equipment in here. And so you can see I've already moved that header during the framing stage. We're gonna make it work and retrofit. So it's not a Facro issue, it's really me as a builder ordering the wrong ladder size and not thinking about equipment. Because you can see as you look back here, that big white box would never make it through that current opening. Okay, Lee, so walk me through the system and show me what you got on that tracer.
Yeah, so this is where we had it hooked up in the master bedroom behind the TV.
Oh, very good.
And it's just lit up. So if you were gonna plug something else into it, an access point or a network switch, or
Okay, good deal. So now it's all labeled and we're good to go. This is all my Google Fiber. We actually had this set up during construction, which was fabulous. And that's fiber in here, but then not fiber in the rest of the house, right? What's our cat size? Is that 5 or 6?
We're all 6.
We're all 6 in here.
And then you do have the Google Fiber, right, that's still coming in with your extra Smurf tube that goes to the rest of the house.
That's right. And then this is your Voltex box, which distributes that low volt, and it's connected to high volt, right? So we got 120 here. This converts it to DC. And we could also use a UPS up here, right, if we wanted to.
Yeah, and back this whole thing up so power goes down, you could run for 30 minutes, an hour.
You know, I probably should tell my homeowner to do that, because that way his fiber line would still be running. And if that, I do have a Champion generator, but there might be a couple second lag. There is a couple second lag, and that might need to be reset. So it would be kind of nice to have just a small UPS, one that would even go for 10 minutes should be enough.
Yeah.
And plug both those plugs in there. I think we'll do that.
There you go.
How can people learn more about Voltec if they want to do it in their house?
VoltecInc.com.
Awesome, man. Easy. While you're up here, let me teach you about my fresh air system, because I want to show these guys, if you don't mind. And this reminds me, I need to label this pipe, guys, but when Lee and I were here earlier putting the fiber line in, I ran this pipe to the outside, and this is simply an empty conduit pipe. On the outside of the house, there's a 2-inch pipe with a cap that comes out. So if I ever need to get something into this attic, you know, whatever's next on the horizon after fiber, I don't know what that's going to be, Lee. Can you comment?
Could be wireless.
That's true, it could be. Wires are always nice to have, though. So this pipe is simply just to get another wire into this attic. And we also put a Smurf tube, you'll see it on the other end of the attic here, from this attic into my low volt closet that has my Sonos system. And then from there into the upper attic as well. So I've got full access. But this is what I want to show you right here real quick, guys. This is really makes me happy. This big April air filter, by the way, I put a little note in there for my homeowner, change this every 6 months. This is my fresh air pre-filter. So as this unit is running, this is going to filter out all the garbage from the outside dirty Texas air before it even gets to my fresh air system. And those are pretty readily available. You can get those a lot of times at home centers. And that's a MERV 10 filter, and it's nice and big, so it's not going to cause a lot of static pressure. And it's really the reason why I don't mind using a unit like this that doesn't have as good of a filter, because frankly, this is a pretty basic filter right here. This is the normal fresh air filter right there. That would get clogged pretty quickly considering its size. And I've got some pretty serious pollen, mold spore, cedar fever kind of issues here in Texas. So this will need to get maintained probably more like every 3 to 6 months. I do want to say though, remember whatever the manufacturer tells you about filter changes, that's a guess from them, right? If that manufacturer's in Switzerland or Michigan and tests it, that's a whole different deal than Texas or wherever you're watching this. So remember that filter changes are a general guideline, not gospel advice, right? So I'm going to tell my homeowner, hey, this is probably a 6-month filter change, but we should check it every 3 months and see. And if it's nasty, we might go down to 3 or 4 months on a filter change. Vice versa, if you live in the country and you don't have any farming nearby or other stuff that's going to create issues in the air, you might be able to go 50% longer on your filters. That's really going to depend. Back to the attic though. At this stage of construction, we're up in the attic. It's, 85 degrees right now outside and 80% humidity. But in this attic where my equipment lives, it's probably 3 degrees hotter than the rest of the house, and that's about it. And it's basically the same humidity, and that's a really big deal. And the way that we've achieved that is 2 things. Number 1, all my insulation is at the roof line, right? If you look at my sheetrock over here, there's no insulation at my sheetrock level like a standard house would have. So that's just bare sheetrock right there. There's nothing that's changing the temperature from downstairs to here. All the insulation's up here, but also look what I've got right there. See that? That reoduct is a supply line to this space, and I've got a small return out of here as well. So we're actively putting a little bit of air conditioning into this space, which means that now I don't have the conditions for condensation to happen like we typically have in a Texas attic that has ducts with, let's say, 50-degree air and just R8 or R6 insulation on that ductwork. All of my ducts that are going up here are going to be nice and clean. They're living in the same air-conditioned space as the rest of the house. This makes a big difference. And let's look at this right here. At the other end of the attic, I've got one of two dehumidifiers. So this is my smaller unit. This is a Santa Fe, what size is this? I think this is their 80 pint model right here. And so this guy, this is the return side. This is the supply side, is supplying to two places in the house. And this is a smaller unit that will only run when the downstairs unit, the thermostat, pardon me, the dehumidistat on the wall says, hey, we need to control the humidity or we need to go lower. Has nothing to do with temperature in the house. We want to control humidity from temperature independently. And then we also need to put a label on this one, but this one has a real nice filter as well. So this filter will need to get changed out probably at the 3-month range. But again, we're going to double check this probably in the first couple months, every month, just to kind of see. Maybe it'll go longer, maybe not. It really depends on dogs in the house, how many kids we've got, how often are they opening and closing doors, that sort of thing. Now, this is not handling any outside air. This is only inside air, so we don't have to worry about this when it comes to fresh air and dropping all the mold spore and pollen. But I've got a second dehumidifier upstairs. So with that being said, let's go take a look at the rest of the first floor of the house, and then we're going to show you the next attic. Okay, y'all, punch continues on the inside and the outside too, of course. Nathan on my team just did a fabulous job getting our TimberTech deck all pretty and power washed back there. And he also then came over here with our surface cleaner and got our garage cleaned out. The house is looking amazing, but as you know, that punch takes a little bit of time. In the meantime, I want to go visit with my buddy Justin, and there he is right there. Hey, Justin.
Matt, how you doing?
These guys probably remember you from the first couple episodes.
I hope so.
You quarterbacked us when this was just a bare slab. And if you remember from the episode that we did with Justin, we spent a lot of time with you, Justin, coordinating our trades, getting our MEP plan into the bones of the house, dealing with all the collisions that we had as we kind of figured out that plan. But I got to tell you, man, it turned out beautiful, didn't it?
Man, it turned out fantastic.
So as you look at it here today, on this bright Texas summer day, it looks a lot like that model you gave me.
Boy, it sure does, doesn't it?
It
you
does.
know, and what I love is that we know buyers are not visual. You and I
Right.
both know that,
That's right.
But the fact is we could set expectations, and I understand it may have helped you a little bit in the process.
It did. I didn't talk about it much on camera, but we sold this actually a couple weeks or months ago. I finally just closed on it yesterday, Justin. And I think that was a big thing that pushed these people over the edge for buying the house. They were able to really visualize and see what it was going to look like when they moved in, even though we sold it fairly early on, really kind of the pre-trim stage. Looking at that rendering from here's what the kitchen's going to look like to here's what the kitchen actually looks like.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh,
Crazy.
that's amazing.
Yeah, realistic, isn't it?
It really is, and we've talked about this before, but like when I bought my Chevy truck on GM's website, I went through all the options and selected the Z71 package, and I got the, I didn't want leather, I wanted a bench seat, and I was able to pick and choose, and they showed me a rendering that was really, really stunning. So to be able to do that now with a house, that's a game changer for a builder.
Game changer for us. And I love the fact that we put the super jumbo brick on, right? We have the artesian siding, the Pella windows. I mean, everything that we wanted to portray showed through in the rendering long before we ever built this house.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, if you haven't heard from us in the past, this house, as well as my personal house, is available on bldrplan.com. Did I say that right?
That's correct.
So they've got several hundred plans on that website, but specifically this house that we just built for you and all these, 21 other episodes, including today's final, as well as my personal house, which I did a bunch of videos on in years past. It's all on their website. So if you want to build this specific house or you want to even modify this house, you guys could use this as a starting plan and modify it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would prefer 10-foot ceilings rather than 9-foot ceilings, or let's bump this out to a third bay car garage. BFS could all do that for you in-house, am I right?
All in-house, yep. Full drafting services, and then we could re-render it for you with the new look and everything. So,
yeah, for sure.
kind of stem to stern, right?
Justin,
So-
amazing job, you guys.
Hey.
You guys have been amazing
you.
partners at BFS. By the way, they have 550 locations nationwide. So if you're interested in any of the stuff that Justin and I talked about through this whole 22-part series, you can get a hold of your local BFS and find out what's available to you in your market. But really appreciate you coming down from
Thank
Dallas.
you.
to see me,
House
man.
looks fantastic.
House does look fantastic. I got the cleaners in there right now, Justin. Let's come back tomorrow and we'll show these guys the final of what this thing looks like. And I'll even show you a couple of the touch-ups and a few of the things that we did at the last minute. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. How easy is that? A gas station in your garage. Man, these two span chargers connected to that span panel. This is gonna be a fabulous setup for our new homeowners. Now, I wish I could tell you that I traded in my Chevy 2500, but the Cadillac dealer let me borrow this for our final video. This is the brand new electric Cadillac Escalade IQ model. I've been driving it for the last 2 days. It's been really, really fun. But boy, it looks good in this garage, doesn't it? Full paneling everywhere, span chargers. We added a Griot's garage, hose reel on the side. This is a really nice sized garage. Now on this final episode though, there's a few things that I do want to mention to think about for the future if you do decide to build this plan. You know, this driveway is a little curvy getting in here. We weren't able to do a full double wide out to the curb. I had to reuse my curb cut. And the other thing that I did notice pulling in with this big of a vehicle, I think maybe a single garage door would be nice. These are 8-foot wide garage doors by 8 foot tall, so we got plenty of clearance, but it's a little tight on those mirrors. I think maybe doing a 16-foot wide garage door, maybe an 18-foot wide garage door would be amazing. And of course, if you were building the same house on a bigger property, I would talk to the BFS guys. They could easily accommodate a 4-car garage, maybe a double deep bay on both sides, any one of those options. I am curious, the homeowner tells me that they want to do battery and solar at some point, and having that span panel here integrating with solar would be incredible. I mean, we could charge our car for free during the day from a 3 or 4 kW array on the ceiling. That being said, guys, let's go inside and get a full tour now that the house is looking perfect. I love how this laundry room turned out. Chelsea chose this color in here. The crystal cabinets turned out beautiful. I didn't want to clean everything up. I wanted you to see that we still have some punch supplies. I have like 2 more days of some minor touch-ups going on here and there. They move in this weekend, and the only thing that really hasn't been installed yet is these Sonos Arcs. These are those really cool Sonos sound bars. You know, the house has a full house Sonos system with the amps for the Sonos system right inside this closet where the water heater is. And I'm loving how these LG washer and dryer, this is that heat pump dryer we talked about in the last episode with Voya, turned out. But look at this, guys. The cleaners finished up everything yesterday, got my floors looking good. It's kind of a cloudy day, and I really like seeing that matte finish on the floor. You know, these floors were covered up with ram board for so long. To see them uncovered and looking pretty, this is really, really fabulous. Kitchen turned out amazing. I'm still waiting to hear back from this dishwasher manufacturer. It's been a couple days since we were here and this thing had a leak. I think they're gonna replace it for me. I haven't heard, it doesn't work, so that's not fantastic. But check this out, if you haven't seen it operating yet, this is that Wolf drawer microwave, similar to some of the Panasonic models you've seen before. Actually, I think Panasonic makes this for Wolf. But this is a kind of age-in-place style appliance. You know, you'd want that bowl of hot whatever to be in this motion. You'd never want a high microwave where you could spill something and get a burn on your face. And then this Fantech makeup air system's all working and looking great. And this is the Wolf induction 36-inch slide-in with oven. I don't know if you can hear it on camera, but this is a remote blower fan from Fantech. I'm gonna be quiet just for a sec, see if y'all can hear it. It's pretty dang quiet, and that's at full speed, which I think is around 600 CFM. The other cool thing is the makeup air vent is right here. So if you could put your hand up to that, you would feel air coming in from that vent, because a true makeup air system needs a fan in and a fan out. So that's actually blowing air in, which allows this vent fan right here, as it sucks out, to really get all that junk out of there. So if we're making a smoky fish dish or whatever, some Asian food, we're really gonna be able to capture that. And with this small lip right here and this being recessed into a cubby, our capture efficiency is gonna be fabulous. I should come back with the fogger at some point to kind of test that and show that to you, but I'm super excited about that. That's one of those behind the scene things we didn't spend a ton of time on, but all those fans are in the attic of the garage space, both the in and the out. And boy, that makes a big difference. I have the same exact system on my personal house that's been running for 4 years now, and it's looking great. So that's how you turn that thing off. The rest of the house, as you look around, I love how the study turned out. The tile in this bathroom, this is all Clay Imports tile. We got our marble thresholds on here, and this has, it's really extremely well done. The guys at Barrett Flooring and the labor arm of Clay Imports also did a little bit of work for us. It's a little hard to tell, but this is actually a emergency floor drain that we can pop out right here. And it's a linear, it's cut perfectly to match this Clay Imports tile. That turned out gorgeous. And all the Kohler fixtures between this kind of matte gold that we've got in here on the thermostatic. I think I mentioned it prior, but all the vanities in the house, minus the primary bath, are all from Kohler as well. And they have some cool features, like check this guy out. We'll plug this in behind here. There's an outlet in the back. Actually, I didn't remember to do that. And now you can plug your hairdryer in, drop your hairdryer into this kind of pistol holder style thing there, and boom, you've got a hairdryer you can pull out, do your hair, drop this back in. Also has a couple of USB chargers on there. The hardware is all matching from Kohler as well. And another cool thing, this would be kind of a night light. Let's turn the lights off so you can see it. Look at that cool lighted niche from Schluter. The entire house has the Schluter waterproofing on the house. And this lighted niche was a fairly new product 6 or 9 months ago that we installed from them. I think you're gonna see this on a lot of houses. That'd make a fabulous nightlight, wouldn't it? In a couple areas of the house though, like in our tub surround areas, we used the USG Durock brand tile backer and then did Schluter on top of that. And that's a really good system as well. And then the other thing you wanna notice, boy, this level 5, this is all USG sheetrock brand drywall, and boy, the house looks amazing. This light's a perfect time to see it too. It's a little bit dim outside, you know, with the clouds. It looks like it's gonna be a rainy day. Turned out fabulous. This is the return air grills that we put in for that upflow carrier system. I like how those are long and low. Something that's a mistake that's pretty common to see is not enough return air for a unit like that. So being able to do a second return air spot just means that that unit's got plenty of airflow. It's never choked down. I've seen that mistake made in a lot of older homes. This turned out good too. This was just that really inexpensive OD cover, and this gives us future access to the Aqua hose bib, which is on the other side. I expect to get a couple decades of service out of that thing, but if we ever do need to change that 30 years from now, I really wanted to think about remodelability on this house. Pop this plastic cover off. The connection between that stainless steel Aqua and the PEX that's running in the wall here that's from Legend, super easy to make a new connection, no drywall patch necessary, really easy to find. Every hose bib in the house from Aqua, I put an access panel in, so it'd be really, really easy to tell where those are in the future. That being said, let's go upstairs. I'll show you the final bedrooms, how this turned out, and I really want to show you that mechanical space on the top attic. Boy, this handrail, these stairs, they turn out beautiful. You know, we did wood risers on these stairs. My house has painted, which tends to be a little bit more traditional. You know, I think though that the wood is actually gonna be more durable. I do find that my white painted risers sometimes have some scuffs, and I wish you could touch this white oak railing Boy, is it nice. Turned out gorgeous. Skylight is amazing, especially on a cloudy day. Look how much light that brings in. However, I do need to say, that is a big skylight, and the other day when I was in here, full sun, no clouds, it felt like it heated this space a little bit more. If I were to change something in this plan, I could see the case for eliminating the skylight, or maybe just doing a smaller skylight, maybe just oriented on this wall to kind of wash this wall, and maybe do a long, thin one. That could be an option. I am gonna keep an eye on that. I might tell my new homeowners to add an exterior film to that skylight to maybe cut down the solar heat gain by 50 to 80%, maybe even cut down the visible light transmission, I forget the exact verbiage, by 40% or 50%, something like that. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't think this house is gonna have a problem with the air conditioning keeping up. It should have been accounted for in the manual J, but long story short, skylights are a really critical component in your house. We mounted that one on a curb, so I'm not worried about waterproofing, but I've got a really thick roof insulation between 2 layers of exterior Atlas insulation, plus my closed cell spray foam up in that attic line. So to have a skylight in there that's maybe R3 or maybe slightly higher if it was a triple glaze, I think that's a double, versus an R, I don't know what this roof is, I'd have to double check, R40 let's say roof, that is a big difference, and that's certainly letting a lot of heat into the house on a hot Texas day. Let's look upstairs though. I mean, this upstairs turned out beautiful. Look at this floor plan. This is Steve Basics design, and I got it today. Steve nailed it. We wanted this upstairs family room to be one that could be utilized by a family. In fact, a family bought this house. The idea here was that a card table, a mahjong table, maybe a homeschool table would go right here, and you've got the perfect light for that. All the lighting came from the same supplier. It's formerly Circa Lighting. I'll put a link to the new name below. And then look at this built-in that the guys at Crystal Cabinets, which is David Betts locally. Boy, this turned out beautiful. We're gonna have a big TV hanging on the wall here, that Sonos soundbar below. Plenty of storage for games or for whatever you're gonna do below here. And just a really nice, comfortable area for the family to hang out. But also with this railing right here, mom and dad are cooking dinner. Hey kids, come on down, it's time for dinner. It'd be really easy to connect. This is a 3,000 square foot house, and it feels big, but yet at the same time, I think that this family is gonna feel connected because the house is not so big that you've got additional wings or you're so far away that a quick, hey guys, time for dinner, isn't gonna work well in this house. Let's go check out these 2 bedrooms. We custom colored these for the family that bought the house. I love it. Isn't this a pretty color? Kind of a robin's egg blue here. Reminds me of a lighter color that we used in the laundry room. A pretty basic walk-through closet with 2 pocket doors in here. Looks like we got a piece of hardware that still needs to go on. And then gorgeous tub and shower area. This is all Kohler as well. Kohler has such pretty colors for their tubs. And we got a hand shower for this one. We've got a niche back here. Remember, this is the shower that we did USG Durock behind and then did Schluter's system on top of that. This turned out fabulous. Kohler vanity. And then the other bedroom over here has the attic access, and I really wanted to show you this attic now that everything's been cleaned up and prettied up. Another thing that I think is worth pointing out as we come into this bedroom, 3 vents on the ceiling. Check these out. This circular vent, which is the similar vent that we use downstairs, that's by Readuct, that's the fresh air. So let's assume the bed is, I don't know, on this wall or this wall, probably this wall, I'm guessing. Bed is here, 6 feet from where your head is sleeping. I've got fresh air pumping into this bedroom all night long. This bedroom is gonna feel amazing. I have a fresh air system at my house that works 24/7, and I sleep fabulous in my house. This is gonna be a game changer. Also wanna show you the 2 vents here. These look like the same vents, right? They're the nice commercial style curved blades, not stamped steel. One of them is supply and the other one over there is return. So this is bringing the air conditioned air into the house. We put it towards the exterior wall where the 2 pillow windows are. This is return though. So as that one is supplying both fresh air and air conditioning, this is drawing back out. So when this door is closed, look at the undercut of the door. I just left a really tiny undercut, maybe 1/2 inch, let's say. I wasn't worried about a big undercut to allow that air to flow back out. It's coming through that right there and is piped directly to the return side of my furnace, which, by the way, I want to show you right here. So come on up. These Facro ladders we use in this house are real nice. By the way, those skylights are also Facro. They're a cool brand. All right, so attic hasn't changed a whole lot, except that we cleaned it up. I don't think that my halo lights were installed yet. This is a pretty nice little light. I'll kind of dim it so you can see it. It's a puck light style that's a recessed, kind of low profile, or not recessed, it's a low profile, just fits on a regular box. If I were to change one thing in this house architecturally, I gotta say a higher pitch on the roof that would allow a little bit more space up here would be nice, but that's minor. I mean, in the scheme of things, not every old man like me has problems with their knees to come over here. Now let's check out the final on this equipment. So this is the Santa Fe dehumidifier. This is a bigger size. This is the 120H. And two things I want to mention on both the Santa Fe and just equipment in general. Number one, manufacturers, including Santa Fe, are going to have general recommendations for sizing on equipment. They're also going to have general recommendations on how often we should change filters. But notice what I put on there. I put two little post-it notes, post-it extremes on there, and I said, hey, check the filter every 60 to 90 days. Maybe okay to change every 3 to 4 months. It really depends. Every house is different, right? If this homeowner has 4 cats in the house and 3 toddlers that are coming in and out of the door all the time, this filter may get quite a bit dirtier than if this is an elderly couple living in a house, or maybe 1 kid versus 4 kids. So manufacturers' recs on filter changes, they're just general guidance. The other thing I want to mention specifically about dehumidifiers is they're going to tell you that this 120H goes up to a certain square footage house, but don't forget that it's really nice to have a little extra capacity, especially if you're in the hot, humid South. And if you were using this Santa Fe for fresh air, if I scooch back here, you'll notice this duct right here is not hooked up. That could be a fresh air input. If I were to bring hot, humid air through this as a fresh air system, which you absolutely can do, and I've done it a bunch, that will lower the capacity of this unit because that 6-inch duct could be bringing in 80% relative humidity air, which is going to reduce the ability of this unit to bring my already maybe slightly 55, 60, 65% humidity air inside the house down to a lower temperature, or lower humidity rather. So I like having 2 dehumidifiers for a 2-story house, 1 up, 1 down. I used the pretty small one downstairs in their catalog, and we went up to a bigger one here. I think that's really smart. I really like the redundancy of 2, and I like to have a little bit extra capacity. Speaking of capacity, this guy right here, which we haven't spent a ton of time talking about it, is my carrier. And this guy's a heat pump, like we talked about in previous episodes. This has their really nice filter system that really only needs to get changed every year. But you'll notice I put the sticker on there, hey, let's check it and change it every 6 to 12 months, because again, every house is a little bit different. So I want them to check that at 6 months, even though maybe the manufacturer says it could go 12, right? We want to verify that this house is living like we expect it. And then if I slide back down here, actually one of the last thing I want to mention, this is the return side of the furnace, right? This is an upflow. So this duct right here that's heading this way, that's pulling that return out of that bedroom that we were just in that was in the ceiling. And then these other ones are doing the same thing. I've got a mixture of both hard pipe up here and flex on this second floor. The rhea ducts that you're seeing are coming from this down here. We showed you the life breath in the other attic earlier with Lee, but this is the upstairs unit. So these 2 units in combination have every fan in the house minus my powder bath. That first floor bath has its own exhaust fan. Everything else in the house has this. So the upstairs bathrooms are pulling a exhaust, a sucker out of those bathrooms, and the upstairs bedrooms are getting a supply, and that's rhea duct. And then just like the other unit downstairs, this is the pre-filter, which I'm a really big fan of. I think this is an awesome way to go. And I put a little note on here, replace filter every 6 months. That's based on my own experience at my house. 6 months seems about right. Don't be ever afraid of a dirty filter. We just don't want a clogged filter, right? Filters actually work a little better as they start getting a little bit of dirt on them, because dirt tends to glob onto and grab onto other dirt. So a little dirty filter is not that big a deal. A clogged filter that's dropping the airflow, that's a problem. So I think 6 months is probably going to be about right. And how about this attic space? Notice I'm not sweating. I think the T-stat downstairs is set at 60, no, it's set at 72. I looked at it earlier. It's set at 72. And my relative humidity on my dehumidistat, I have two of those, one up and one down. I think I have set at 50% relative humidity. I like that as a general rule of thumb. You might consider turning it down to 45. And actually, my dehumidifier is running. I can hear it humming over there. It's hung from the rafters, so I don't have to worry about vibrating that floor below. But up here in this conditioned attic, all this ductwork is living in the same space as the rest of the house. It's probably 2, maybe 3 degrees hotter in here. So I bet it's 75 up in this attic, and it's below me on the sheetrock downstairs. It's probably, you know, right at 72 where that thermostat is. It's not particularly humid up here. It feels great. And this is what all houses should have. They should have all the ducts in the same air conditioned space that you live in. And we should have supplemental dehumidification. And we should have a whole separate unit, including separate ducting if we're going to do best practice for fresh air. The last thing I want to mention up here, we use trusses. This was my first BFS truss job. And these are storage trusses, so we've got a pretty fair amount of space up here. Like I said, we could have gone to a higher pitch roof. It sure would have been nice to walk in here and have, you know, let's say 5.5 or 6 feet of head height. Would have severely changed the architecture. And again, we were really going for kind of that value versus cost thing here. This is not an inexpensive house. This is not affordable housing by any means, but we're trying to make this a little more attainable than some of the other projects that we've shown you. And I think as we close out this video, I think that's one of the things I'm really proud of here. You know, we made a bunch of cost decisions. We also made some decisions to, you know, do a full fresh air system in a house, which wouldn't be necessarily standard at this normal price point. And I went with a Life Breath, which is a pretty dang affordable unit. I think the unit itself minus install is probably only $1,500, right? But we installed it with really good practices. We used really good duct work. So, you know, it's several $1,000s installed, but that's going to work for the life of the house to give these occupants a really healthy, a really fresh house, a house that they want to come home to. I'm really proud of this build. This has been a really fun one. Let's close out the video outside. I haven't shown you the outside yet now that we've been finished up. I want to show you the span panel and the Champion system. So let's end up on that back deck. Oh, man, that slides real nice. That's my Pella. What is that thing? A 10-foot slider with a 5-foot panel? Or is it an 8-foot panel or a 4-foot panel with an 8-foot slider? I don't remember, but boy, it's really pretty, isn't it? I like it. We also did black Sonos speakers out here to match the Pella. I suspect they're going to use the man door most often. My new homeowners have a dog, so they'll let them out here. The dog will run down this nice TimberTech deck. Look at my view rail, exterior rated, meant for exterior decks. Kind of a nice cable rod kind of look, so real minimal. Not that there's any view out here. We've got neighbors all around us in this neighborhood. But I love how this turned out back here. I want to make mention a couple things. We've got that black Aqua hose bib. I really like how those turned out. And then if you look below that, there's those two pipes you saw way back from episode, I don't know, 2 or 3. The copper pipe is the TNP overflow on that LG heat pump water heater. The gray pipe is the drain pans that are basically on this first floor. So when my dishwasher had a leak, water would have been coming out that drain right there. It's just meant to be an emergency pan, and that's it. And then over here, I've got my meter with my masthead, overhead power from the back of the house going to the meter. Then next up is the Champion ATS. We talked about that, I think, in the last episode. That's an automatic transfer switch, all 200 amps. It knows, hey, I got no city power. let's send a signal to that 22 kW Champion generator. It fires up, and within a couple of seconds, 30 seconds or less, the span panel is getting power now from the Champion. The house lights up. So the backyard, it's a little bit of a blank slate. We left the mulch down at this point. I don't know what my homeowners are going to do back here. We didn't have it in our contract to do anything. Apparently, my new owners are into gardening. So they might turn the shed into a bit of a gardening shed, grow some plants in there maybe in the winter season, and then bring them out here and do something. It's really pretty back here. I love how it turned out. The city had us work around these big trees. We really didn't take any trees down. And I was kind of worried about it at first, especially this big one right here that has a knot in it. But with the way the TimberTech deck kind of works its way around it, architects did a great job. Steve Basic was the master architect here, and then Chelsea Sharbuck at my office, who also is an architect and has an interior design license, did all the interiors and kind of worked with Steve and Steve's team. Steve's got his daughter and his son working in his office now. He's working all over the country. And this specific house is available on bldrplan.com, like Justin talked about earlier. My hope is that you might consider building this, and if you do, please contact me. I think it'd be really fun to see some folks maybe building this house or building my house or doing a version of it, right? As Justin said earlier, you can change these designs. You could do whatever you want with BFS. There's definitely a few things I would do differently, but at the end of the project, I gotta tell you, I feel like I'm Mr. Rogers here in the back deck, putting my shoes on. I'm super proud of this house. I mean, it turned out amazing. We had some great sponsors. We had some great tradesmen and women. We used some really good products here, but we built this house, like I said, in the attic, with the intention of doing it kind of a notch lower than my personal house or some of the other builds you've seen us do here on the Build Show. But let's wrap up the series, guys. It's been a really fun process to build this entire house. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, it took us just a little over a year. I think it was 14 months, really start to finish. I was hoping it was 12, so I'm about 10% late on delivery, but you gotta give me a little bit of forgiveness from Build Show Live that we had here, that big event. We've got more of those scheduled. You can learn more about that and come see my whole Build Show team at buildshowlive.com. But I hope that you guys will check out the buildshow.com. We've got a ton of other content on there. We're really training future builders, current builders, and of course we know that we've got the general public watching as well on what it takes to build a durable, a healthy, a long-lasting home. The way we built this with Monopoly framing and with a good foundation, I fully expect this house to be here a couple hundred years from now with only some remodeling. I'm sure this kitchen will be out of date in 40 years, but the rest of the house, the envelope, the shell, the way we built it, it's gonna be in terrific shape. And we really built in forgiveness to the design as well. We've got 2-foot overhangs everywhere. We've got a really good window and door package, but we also did it so that that could get replaced someday as well. I feel like I'm gonna cry at the end. It's kind of an end of an era. I'm sad to not come back and shoot videos at this house. I really think this is a special project, and my hope is that this new family will feel incredibly blessed to live here, and all the men and women that really put their heart and soul into this house. I think the homeowners are going to benefit from that for many, many decades to come. Guys, I want to thank our massive sponsors over here, especially Builders FirstSource, our main sponsor. Terrific people, and you saw their tools in action on this high performance build. With that being said, guys, this is it, the Reisinger build in partnership with Builders FirstSource. If you watch my other dorky videos, you know how I close out all my videos. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on the Build Show.